Hello, Karen here from Soul Symbols Astrology. I hope you all had an absolutely wonderful holiday season, and I'll say Happy New Year to you now. Hope 2026 brings you good things. Okay, so I'm here to bring your astrology from Monday, the 29th of December, through to Sunday, the 4th of January, 2026. So, our astrological bridge into 2026. So, this week is not a gentle stroll through the open fields. It's more like a trek up the hill to a forge. And really, it's no wonder we got the holidays in full swing, additional pressures, both relationally and financially, followed by that reckoning we have to face every year of the cost of the holiday season and returning to our everyday. And then there's that thought of the wait until the sun's warm enough to bask in it again. And this happens every year, but what's happening in the sky is amping it up a tad this week. So we start the week with the tone setter. I'll just get the chart up for you here. Okay, so we have Venus here at 5 degrees Capricorn. It's combust the sun. You can see it there at 7 degrees. And on the other side of the sun, we've got Mars, who's exalted in Capricorn, but is also combust the sun. And also note this is captured by the moon almost. Yesterday we had the first quarter moon in Aries, the fire starter, and she'll be full in her home of Cancer at the end of the week on Sunday the 3rd. So she's kind of acting like a bookend for this story being played out in our sky this week. But she's also out one of our luminaries, and she's the timekeeper. She keeps the time on the daily journey through this week. So we're watching both of the relationship planets, Venus and Mars, being drawn into the sun's heat in Saturn's temple of Capricorn. So the big theme for this week is refinement by pressure. And it could be all the pressures the holidays brought or relationship pressures there. It's a signature, yeah, of this time of year, but some plus with these transits. So Capricorn is Saturn's temple, and it's Saturn who's holding the keys here. So he brings the themes of time, consequences, responsibility, boundaries. He's gravitas. He can be heavy, but he brings that wisdom. Our desires, we can look at it as our desires are in the fire, being refined by considerations such as, can I commit to what I want? And if that answer's yes, there's a need to reflect on what needs to mature in order to see the commitment through. I had this image, looking at it a bit alchemically, Venus as copper and Mars as iron. So copper and iron being smelted in Saturn's lead vessel in order to make copper alloy, which comes from copper and iron, and it conducts electricity. That's the gold that can emerge from this week. It's that very pressure and the heaviness in our lives that can bring the alchemical production of energy to our relationships and connections. So if situations feel intense, private, pressured, or strangely clarifying, this is why. So let's talk about this combustion, because this is the condition shaping Venus and Mars this whole week, and it will go on into the following week. So when a planet is combust, it's swallowed by the sun's light. I spoke last week, I'll put the video up here, Venus square Saturn, because she was combust then. This is not new for this week, it's been going on for some time. Symbolically, it becomes invisible, the planet that's combust the sun, and the agenda becomes entangled with those solar themes. So Venus combust can feel like our values are changing. they can feel changeable, but not being able to articulate how that feeling of our values changing. We don't know how. Our relationships may feel private, tender, touchy, or oddly muted, and our money and pleasure will require realism and not that fantasy. We're in Saturn's temple here. And with Mars combust, it can feel like our willpower is kind of on fire. We've got lots of willpower, but urgent and sometimes irritable. Our ambitions can increase, and so can burnout. And impatience can rule our need for action to happen now, even if we or the situation isn't right for it. So there's that urgency, impatience, this fire in our bellies. So it's not the best sky for reckless declarations or dramatic ultimatums. It's better for inner decision, quiet, private inner decisions that can later become our outer commitments, because that visible announcement energy will come later. So Venus in Capricorn, excuse me, you can see it as love in her adult clothes. She's not around Venus for vague longing, and she's not young love in that way. She's here for a mature love, integrity, effort, devotion, and something that can survive the long term. But Venus is combust, which mean our Venus story is temporarily behind the curtain, which is why I said love can feel private. Kind of, you want to keep it all private. So this is a week for us to ask, what do I actually value now? Um, Not what did I used to value, but what do I value now in this present moment? So what kind of love supports my long-term unfolding, and where have I been bargaining with my worth? These are valuable reflections to have this week. And because Capricorn is Saturn's sign, this Venus is negotiating with boundaries. And as I said, I've done the Venus square Saturn. So if you want to learn more about those boundaries, so it's what can I say yes to, but that I can sustain. So it's a mature looking at what is sustainable and what is the no's. You know, Saturn, he is the he's the Lord of no, but that no is to find our yes. Yeah. So what is that no that I need to finally respect? So we can look at whether we've been overgiving this week, and that can expose the leak. And it is a season of giving, but we might have taken it a bit too far this week. And if we've been under committing in some way, this week can expose our avoidance. And it's not to shame us, it's to clarify us. Those no's are clarification on what we value, what we can commit to, what we can hold, and where we're overgiving. Yeah. So Mars, as I said, was exalted in Capricorn, which is important. It's like it's like Mars wearing a uniform that fits. Mars is Marshall, so it's like, yeah, he's not got a baggy uniform on it fits. It's fitted. He is that builder Mars, strategic Mars, mountain climber Mars here in Capricorn. But he's combust, so the heat is concentrated. And what does that look like? It looks like intense productivity, fierce clarity about our goals, a desire to cut distractions and move straight towards the summit. You know, you got your mountaineering equipment out and up you go. Wonderful energy for getting things done. But, you know, there's a shadow. There's always a shadow with the planets, and it can include being harder on ourselves than is necessary, or impatience with people's emotions and forcing outcomes that we want. So, the key here's the key. This is the key. This exalted Mars in Capricorn wants mastery, not that mayhem that can be produced by harshness or cutting words and actions, or impatience and using force. The most powerful use this week is disciplined action. We can take one strong step and repeat it, make fewer promises, and make strategic plans of action with clean boundaries around our time and energy. If you want a sentence to steer it by, is this: use precision over force. That's the kind of lesson Mars is bringing us this week. Now, let's drop into the alchemical layer. The sun's fire, that image of the forge of the copper and the metal, the sun's fire is heating the copper and the iron. So in simple terms, the sun is associated with identity and our purpose, and that is what is heating our desires and drive. Beautiful. Our bodies might feel these Capricorn themes in our knees, our bones, our teeth and skin. It could be a fatigue that's asking for structure. Our bodies may need minerals, warmth, rest and rhythm. That would be the moon, that moon's journey there. Mentally and emotionally, we may experience a sobering honesty. And that can be to do with what we really want, or a confrontation with the truth about the cost of our goals. There may also be a need to define what's sacred to us and what we won't allow past the gate. This is inner alchemy, not a manifest instantly. And that's the kind of speed you might get with Mars, that get rich kind of energy. It's a call to become the kind of person who can hold our purpose authentically and with integrity. Yeah, let's look at the story of the moon this week. She's triplicity ruler of the earth signs, and she's bringing feeling and time into the sky. So we're entering the week just coming off the first quarter, the day before, and she's holding the picture of struggle there with the plant pushing through the soil. She's, first quarter is about emergence, the struggle to emerge with our intentions, our desires, what we plan to do that month. So we end the week with a fullness in her temple in Cancer. And that's on Saturday, I think. Yeah, Saturday the 3rd. So she's the bookends of the week. She starts in the quarter at the beginning of the week, she ends in the full. So why is this important? Well, Cancer's the moon's home sign. So this lunation is going to amplify what your system needs in order to feel safe and nourished. We are talking relationship here. So Cancer is also the sign of the gateway of spirit, soul into the material. So it's embodiment of our desires, embodiment of our soul. It isn't just happening there up in the sky. It's a big opportunity to take struggles that we have this week from that quarter moon and with the Combust Mars and Venus, and embody the outcomes throughout this week. This full moon is asking Capricorn a question. Is what you are building also a home for your heart? Yeah, if it isn't, it may be felt as a tenderness in us, maybe oversensitive tenderness of honesty you can't unknown, and a deep desire to protect what matters. And there may be a need to simplify and return to the essentials. It's a beautiful moment, this, to check where we are over functioning and to check if our sense of duty is masquerading as love, but also to really reflect on our own needs in order to keep going without abandoning ourselves in that overgiving. So I will be putting up the archetype of the moon in terms of the tarot card in a blog this week, and I will have rituals as it goes through the signs for this week. If you like your rituals and you like to move the transit of the moon, it's a beautiful week to watch that. Yeah, that blog will be up there. I'll notify you on social media and on the community page here. So this is why this week matters. It's really significant because it's a threshold before Venus and Mars sit on their chariots, Kazemi, and are transformed and rebirth. It's that Capricorn corridor of time I spoke about in last week. So let's get the chart up here. So next week, I'll give you a quick look at next week. We've got the Venus Kazemi on the 6th of January. And then if you look here, we have a 3-day ride of Venus, Sun and Mars moving together. It's that Capricorn corridor of time I spoke about in the last video, and it's a potent reset of Venus and Mars, of drive and direction. It's the dissolve and coagula of alchemy. Okay. The breaking down of old structures and the creating of new ones. And with this year's astrology, it really is marking a pivot point, which I'll talk about in next week's astrology. Let's get you back. Okay, so think of December the 29th to January the 4th as the week where the metal's heating in that forge on the top of the hill, the impurities are rising, and our motives are clarifying. It's a week of the inner vow. Next week will become the outer movement, the rebirth, the renewal, the resetting for us. So there's 3 simple anchors that we can work with this week. Keep our biggest moves clean and contained. We can act absolutely, but acts with intention, not agitation or out of impatience, or we'll get the shadow result of that. And let our desires mature before we announce them. So we may have plans and goals or inspirations, but let them mature, because Mars will want you to announce them and act on them immediately. Venus Combust is private. Let the heart speak in whispers first, okay? Before we announce it to the world. Use the Cancer full moon as a truth test. This is where the fruit is. It's the fruit of the cycle, that lunation cycle that started in Sagittarius, and all the transits in between. But this one will be particularly penetrating as the moon's in her temple. If it costs your nervous system everything, it's not success, it's extraction, okay? And this week it's like building a vessel that can hold our desires, putting the structure in there. And that's our love, our desires, our actions, all of it. And there's 3 journal prompts to close that you can reflect on, work with if you journal. Up to you. So ask yourself, what do I want that I'm finally willing to commit to? What boundary will protect my energy and make that commitment real? What does my heart need so my ambition doesn't become self-abandonment? And we can do that. We can so do that. Well, we've got a pretty fiery week in an earth sign, putting our love and our actions in a structure and container. Okay, so I will see you in 2026. Bye bye. Have a wonderful new year. Happy New Year to you all. See you in the next one. Bye bye.